Well, Jorge, I don't know why I broke out the shade fan. There was barely any shade going on in the reunion episode. And hey, hi, it's me, Wilma Fingerdoo, with the Fingerdoo review of RuPaul's Drag Race Season 12, the finale. And of course, before we get started, I do want to thank all of you that were visiting PayPal this week. I wrote a list because you know I'm terrible remembering anything, including my own name sometimes. Isn't that right, Darlene? Yes, right. So anyway, Edmund Mohammed, sweetheart, thank you again for dropping by and tipping me. You are an absolute doll. Nicholas Bourne, oh, I love that last name. Makes me think that I could die if I'm in your presence, which makes it hot. Also, Judy Pritzi, Denise Gernot from Denmark, and I hope I said your name. Gernot, I think is how you say it if you're in Denmark. But J and a G next to each other, it just makes a zhuzh sound like zhuzh. So, Gernot is how I said it, Denise. Kevin, Simpson. It looked like something completely different. Simbon, like a Cinnabon? Oh, no. Kevin Simpson and Colby Cromrie, you all dropped by PayPal, and I'd like to thank you so much. For any of you who would like to tip me on PayPal if you feel moved, the links are all down below. I also want to take a moment. I haven't done this, and I don't know why. Clearly, I'm self-involved. But on my Patreon page, if you're interested in supporting me there, I have 3 tiers. It's very simple. You can just tip me. You can just sponsor me at $1 a month. Just there you go. There you go. I appreciate that. For $3 a month, you get your name in the credits. And then for $5 a month, you are a part of the Weekly Watcha, which is a video Q&A that I do. People ask me questions, Patreoners ask me questions, and I answer them. You can only see that on Patreon. So if that's something that you're interested in, that's at the $5 tier. But I get people that tip me at $1 and I never mention them, which is very rude, I'm just going to say. So Andrea Herman, Christina, Eliana, Rodney Erickson, Stay Carey, who I've talked to before because he lets me call him Foxy. Those people all support me at $1 a month on Patreon. And if you're interested in doing that, that link is down below. Bless you. Plus, of course, merch on Redbubble, including the very au courant protective face mask. Jorge, drink me. That way you can even ask for a drink without actually saying anything or taking your mask off. It's fantastic. So we're done. We're done that. Now let's get to the reason we're all here. Jorge, drink me. Ooh, look at you. What did you make a blue meanie? I'm going to call this a blue meanie. What is that? Jenny. Well, we kicked the finale off in the closet with Michelle Visage. And what a big old closet it was, too. I'm so serious. She, of course, as she does for all the finales, is the voiceover. She introduces all the queens, which she did, and they all look spectacular. I am so serious. Dahlia Sin was gorgeous in green bondage. There's something about Dahlia and her skew on things. She's either hanging out with the right people or reading the right magazines, but either way, I have yet to see something on her that she didn't put together that looked bad on her. So well done for Dahlia Sin. It was good to see her too. Next up was Rock'em Sakura, and I have to say I loved what Rock'em was wearing. It was very graphic. It looked like she was in a little cyclone of trading cards or something. It was very anime. It was very au courant. But the thing I was most amazed, she had these beautiful black fishnets on and these little Joan Crawford shoes. And I have to say, from the waist down, she was stunning. I hate to say that I was distracted from that dress by her legs, but that's how beautiful Rock'em's legs were. Seriously. Nikki Doll looked gorgeous in her cross-cultural references, her French Napoleon bicorn hat and her English Elizabethan ruff, but she looked lovely in lavender. And I just have to say, with Nikki, there's always something about what she's wearing that it doesn't slap you in the face, but if you stare at it long enough, it'll wink at you. Seriously. I didn't mean that. But I'm sorry, I'm just going to say the gag of the night was Aiden Zane. I couldn't get over how incredibly detailed and involved that dress was. I mean, it was stunning, that soft, neutral pink that she's made her signature color next to the black, which is her other signature color. The only thing I thought that was a little off about the whole outfit was that ruffle, that collar thing she had in the back. It was just almost too much. With the hair and the dress, I don't think she needed it. I'm glad she made the effort, because otherwise, well, she probably would have just slept through the whole finale as it was. Britta looked good, but she also looked familiar. I'm so used to that silhouette on her now that I don't even trust my memory that she's worn it before or not. Do you know what I'm saying? So on one level, it was like, oh, there's Britta, that's nice. And on the other, it's like, no. Okay. Now, I know everyone's in quarantine, and Britta went to Maryland, Maine. She's in Maine with her folks, like, so she's not got every little piece of drag that she's ever had at her fingertips like she would at home. So, I don't know, maybe she just traveled light, traveled with the standbys. Who's to say? She still looked good. I have to say I was super surprised and impressed by Jan's little Eddie Scissorhands fantasy. The dress was fun, the wig was fun, the scissors were great. And the thing that I liked about that, she could have worn that without the scissor hands and it still would have been a great costume. But I just was so impressed, because for somebody who said at the beginning of the season that she's not a costume or fashion queen, she's been turning out those looks all season. Here's to you, Jan. I am so serious. Yummy. The biggest disappointment of the week, well, it was Widow. No offense, but that vinyl outfit, which was fine with the Widow on it, was fine. But here's where she lost me. Because that vinyl was so shiny, she had that backpack on her that made all the arms move. You could see it was all on here, but it was all gathered. And it ended up, because it was catching the light, looked very ill-fitting and very sloppy on poor Widow. If she had done the whole thing in like a faux leather, non-shiny, like a matte vinyl or something stretchy, and then did the red in patent leather or even a sequin, then it would have been, I think, a little less distracting, because just even the hood she had on, there was a gather in the edge, and the hood was, I guess, bigger on it, so it didn't smooth out. It very much reminded me of Garbage Bag Couture, and not in a good way. Sorry about it. Heidi continues to impress me. She looked even better than she did for the reunion. I thought that red sequin dress with the little touches of white beading and everything, and the hair, the makeup, so elegant, so well done to Heidi. Seriously. Our Miss Cox was elegant. I thought that whole dress was just stunning. The only thing I hated were the little marabou feathers. They just were done in these weird little places, and one was right on her minge, and it was so distracting. And I just have to say, I think that if it didn't have the feathers, or the feathers were just up near the shoulder or something, I would have liked it more. But I'm not saying our Miss Cox didn't look good, because she did. Seriously. And then we got to our final three queens. And I have to say right out of the gate, oh my God, this pinata outfit on Crystal, I think it's right up there with Freddy Krueger for me, because I wasn't expecting anything like that. The fact that she let it fart sparkles made me giggle even more. And then just seeing her stand there with two extra legs just dangling, it just was so silly. And her face, she was absolutely having the best time of anyone at the reunion in that costume. Good for her. Gigi Good. Oh, speaking of good for her, she looked lovely as well. She was in that Thrills bubblegum purple. It was very almost a lavender, and that it was, I guess, a velvet and ruched and just texture. It was gorgeous. Of course, only skinny girls can wear things like that. God bless her. But I have to say, the only thing I hated about that outfit was the helmet. And I have to say, those first few challenges, Gigi always seemed to have a helmet on the runway. Like, she had that moped look, or anyway, she had helmets designed to go with some of her outfits, so it was nice to kind of see the helmet come back. I'm just sorry it came back on that. And I have to say, I loved the dress, I loved the wig, I loved the makeup, but the only thing I hated were the cone boobs. And not because Britta had already worn them, but because Britta had already worn them, that to me, because of who Britta is as a drag queen, already says that the cone boobs are out of date. It's nostalgia. It's vintage, I guess, to some people, but it's very dated, a very dated look, and I'm not a fan of. I wasn't a fan of it in Britta's outfit, but what else has she got? And when it came to Gigi, that was the only thing. I wish that it hadn't had those cone boobs, because I think that the silhouette on that outfit would have been even better. Not that it wasn't delish. And of course, that brought us to our last queen, Jada Essence Hall, in her Mother of the Galaxy outfit. I don't know. I loved, at first I was like, what is she wearing at the bottom? Because it was nothing. Like literally nothing happened on that outfit until she hit the waist. And then the black full skirt fitted more, and then it turned into these other colors, purples and lights. And then by the time it got to her face, she was just a sea of stars and the Milky Way and everything. And I have to say, it was stunning. I liked it head on. I don't like queens in outfits where there's no hair. I don't know why. I like a little, even if it's a kitty cat wig, a little curl sticking out, or a chinois at the back or something. I don't care. But that skull cap for me at first, because she was from the back, was like, oh. And then she turned around and you saw her full face, and well, she just looks stunning, I have to say. But good for all the queens. I mean, all 12. Well done, everybody, except for Ru. And then once the queens were all introduced, well, that's when we finally got a good look at Ru. I hated that mask. I'm sorry. I'll accept it for the reunion, but I don't accept it for the finale. RuPaul not in drag at the finale is like ordering KFC and getting a bucket of broccoli. I'm just going to say to you right now. And I will say, I'm sorry, out of the gate, I apologize for saying Ru had made no effort whatsoever, because clearly she had upgraded her mask, or at least sent somebody out to get her a better one. But I didn't like it with the hat. It made her look like she was doing a remake of the film Zorro, like Ru, the gay blade, or Ruzo, you know, instead of Zorro, Ruzo. Either way, I don't know. It just, did it bother anybody else that it was missing a rhinestone right there, right in the middle of the whole thing? She could have taken one off the back, and I'm just saying. Not my favorite look for Ru. Of course, Ru wasn't alone. Well, technically, she was alone, technically. But she also had Michelle Visage there to help judge. And, well, Michelle's husband's rear end made a cameo. Well, at least he was smiling. Ross Matthews was there with his dogs, who were still clearly upset over Jan not winning the Madonna challenge. And Carson was there as well, looking as good as he could for somebody who probably wasn't able to do his own makeup. I just want to say that everyone looked good for not having people around to do their own makeup, except for Michelle, who looked fantastic. And of course, because it was a finale, there was lots of messages from people. One of my favorites was from Whoopi, who thanked the cast and reminded them that in this situation of isolation and quarantine, that we do need to remind ourselves to laugh and to enjoy life and to remember what it's all about. And I really liked that she thanked everyone, cast and crew included, for helping the world do just that. Here's to Whoopi. Classy, just saying. So this finale was broken down into, two parts. There was the interview part with the top 3 queens, and then there was the lip-syncing part. Now, as we all know, the lip-syncing part was in 3 stages. They all had to do an up-close lip-sync, a produced lip-sync, and then a filmed live lip-sync. But up first was the one-on-one interviews, and the first person up, of course, was Crystal. Ru gave her the big purple eye. What was that about? That was just weird. I also thought it was weird that when Ru was solo in the camera, the eye was centered, and then when they split the screen, the eye was... It was just a weird thing I noticed. I kept wondering how they did it, or why they did it, or... The problem for me, though, was the mask. Why was Ru wearing that mask? Jeez. One of the big points of discussion between Crystal and Ru was how El DeBarge has changed her life. Ru asked her if whenever her name is said, if she hears that music played, and she said, no, but when you search El DeBarge on the internet, Crystal comes up, which I think is a hoot. It also lets you know how many people even care to remember who Elda Barge is. Just saying. As is Crystal's wont, her one-on-one interview outfit, well, it was unique. I didn't like it. I'm just going to say I loved the idea of it, but there was just too much. Like the one sleeve was different. The face was all like there was nowhere for my eye to land. It was just a little too chaotic for me. Like I liked her non-crystal face with the round eye, and I wish she had done that on both because that would have changed her whole look. I couldn't really see what the wig was doing, but she had incorporated a lot of yarn and everything. It just, I don't know. For a finale outfit, I don't know. I liked the pinata better. But she probably couldn't have sat down for the interview, I'm just saying. And then Ru surprised Crystal with a video message from her parents, who I think are just in the other room from her, aren't they? Doesn't she live with her parents? Didn't she say she did? Anyway, the message, you could tell they were awkward. You could tell they were reading from a script because the message came off a little flat. Fortunately, Crystal's mom did not. She had her girls out, God bless her. In fact, I think she was giving Rachel Bloom's boobs a run for the money. Or should I say mammary? I'm just saying. It was also heartwarming to hear Crystal talk about her dad's fight with Parkinson's. I mean, as little as you can do against a horrible disease like that, it sounds to me like they are taking the best attitude to heart and giving life a good, swift kick in the hoolies. Just saying. There was another video message for Crystal from her grandmother, her abuela, who was leopard printed up and ready for anything. And I like that. I like that Crystal said that all the women in his family, including himself, like to wear the leopard print, get the girls out, and put on all the jewelry. Here's to the Crystal family, I'm just saying. Something else that Ru does at, well, if not the finale, it's usually that episode that they get to the top 4 or top 3 with. They usually ask advice. What would you give your younger self advice? And the one thing I thought that was cute about Crystal was her saying to her younger self that her mom knows that you're putting her clothes on. You're not fooling anybody. I don't know why. I thought that was adorable. Here's to Crystal's mom. Before we continued with the one-on-one interviews, there was a lovely video message from the entire cast of RuPaul's Drag Race, just some gratitude with a little attitude. It was a lovely vignette. Everyone thanked people that they actually know that work on the front lines to just people that they have never, ever even come in contact with for doing the jobs that they're doing. And I have to say, I love that Nikki Doll thanked the guy that delivers the Indian food she orders because girls gotta eat, especially when she's skinny. And then it was time for Ru to chat with Gigi Goode, who was totally rocking her 1993 MTV spring break look. And I have to say, when at first I cut to Gigi, I didn't realize that's what she was wearing. I just thought she looked like a 60s cheerleader, But no, she had not that look out. She looked spectacular. But that wasn't the big thing. The big thing with the one-on-one chat with Gigi was finally meeting her mom. I love that she had a Judy behind her that clearly she had made with duct tape. It was a homemade Judy. So clearly this is a woman who's constantly either making stuff for herself or for other people. But it was nice to finally see her and just see her and Gigi gush with each other, because clearly they're gushers. Of course, then Ru asked Gigi what she would have said to her little younger self, Samuel. And again, the one thing that I loved about this was her saying that her dad was going to be difficult, that he wouldn't want to look at her dressed the way she was, and all that. It made me very sad. It was a very, and you could see that there's been some hurdles between her and her father, and understandably, Gigi never talks about him. It's always about her mom. So there's some problems there for sure. But I like that in the middle of all of that, saying how hard it was going to be with her dad, that at some point there will be a rope thrown and it will help her pull her closer to her dad. So clearly things are getting better between the two of them, and I hope that they continue to as well. Here's to you and your dad, Gigi, seriously. The only thing about Gigi's one-on-one interview that I didn't like, but I understood it, was how intense she was when she said winning is not an option. It's not an option for me not to win. I always worry when people say that, because winning is totally an option. It's not your option. When there is one winner to be had, except for All Stars 4, there is absolutely nothing you can do in the situation. And to put that kind of pressure and it just, when Gigi was at her lowest in season 12 for those 2 or 3 episodes where she was just down, you could see that intensity working negatively towards her. And I think that that's the thing with Gigi. She's very intense. When she puts a look together, she's intense about it. When she's performing, she's intense about it. I'm hoping in the years that come that Gigi will mellow just a slight bit. And I'm hoping that not winning RuPaul's Drag Race season 12 will help her do that. Just help her get over it. Because I'm sure she will see that not winning Drag Race isn't the worst thing that can happen to you. And that sometimes the best things that can happen to you are about not winning something. So here's to Gigi. Seriously, I hope that she learns to relax a little, but I don't see it happening anytime soon. And finally, we had a little chat with Jada Essence Hall, and gee whiz, did she ever look spectacular. I mean, I might have complained about her not wearing a wig for her Mother of the Galaxy look, whatever that was. Well, she more than made up for it in this. That wig was spectacular. It was involved. There was lots of it. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. And Jada looked spectacular, as she always does, seriously. The best thing about Jada's chat was her talking about her relationship with her father and her brother. And when she had a viewing party at her house during the start of RuPaul, her brother and her dad came. And when she won that first challenge, they cried. And I think that that's wonderful, because it's hard. It's hard with men. It's hard to be a gay boy in a family of men who aren't gay, especially if they're men's men. It can be very, very awkward to express yourself or to even just feel welcome in your own home. And I'm not sure what Jada's background with her history with her parents, with her... I mean, clearly her mother is very proud. I mean, she's at work every day showing everyone pictures of Jada in drag. So she's clearly very proud. But it's interesting. I'm always impressed for people that grew up with their fathers, because I didn't have a dad around, so there was none of that male energy telling me what I was doing was wrong. And because my mom worked, she wasn't around to really tell me either. So for the first 5 or 6 years of my life, it was pretty good, I'll tell you what. But when I hear about kids having good relationships or developing good relationships with their fathers, I'm always so impressed by that. So here's to Jada and her dad and her brother, seriously. But the thing that made me love JEH the most was her talking about her grandmother who had passed. And I have to say, my grandmother was my savior. She was my rock. And for any drag queen, any gay boy, any person in the world who had a bad time and had a grandmother to help them through it, here's to all of us. Seriously. And what was Jada Essence Hall's message to her younger Jarrett self? Well, it was, I love you. 3 little words, sometimes the hardest to say to another person, almost impossible to say to ourselves. So it was lovely. I think that was an excellent message to share with anyone, seriously. One of the things I loved about the finale was clearly Heidi has picked up the Miss Vanjie mantle and is running with it, because they did a lot with Heidi this episode. Well, they certainly had her PSA, her public service announcement about social distancing and cleanliness, which was hilarious. Her screaming out her back door at people. So funny. As she is. I just love Heidi so much. I think that... anytime they can put her on camera, I think is going to be a win-win for everybody. Seriously. And then it was time for the first lip sync. Sweet Marie and the Ships at Sea. I was excited because we hadn't done this before. Well, this first lip sync was the up close lip sync. All the girls had to get up close to the camera and just lip sync. Easy enough. But I have to say, I found Crystal's face so distracting that I really didn't pay much attention watching how she did. My eye kept getting drawn back to Gigi, and only because she was in the middle. And the reason I'm bringing this up is I wish, instead of just having them Crystal, Gigi, Jada, that they had switched them up from time to time so somebody was in the middle whenever they kept back to them. But for the most part, I thought they all did fairly well. I mean, I think everyone made a little mistake here or there, but it was just about their lips. And then after that first lip sync, we had a very somber moment with the cast and crew of RuPaul's Drag Race Season 12. They said goodbye to Jacqueline Wilson. This is a producer who's been there since Season 2. She is, as they said, that person off camera more times than not talking to the queens in their one-on-one interviews. And I mean, she's been there since Season 2. She's only missed one season of that show. And she went from being a segment producer up to being a co-executive producer for RuPaul's Drag Race. And she's won an Emmy. This is clearly a woman that was very integral to not just the RuPaul Drag Race brand, but making it the brand that it is. Well, the sad news was that she died. She died actually late last year in September, but they didn't say anything until now. Now, I'm not sure why she died. They haven't said, and it makes me worry that something happened, but no one said, and maybe we will never know. Maybe it's just a private matter with her family. I don't know, but regardless, this beautiful, beautiful woman who was so creative and so capable in bringing all of these drag queen stories to the camera is clearly going to be missed. So here's to everyone, seriously. So to lighten the mood after a commercial break, the cast of Season 12 of Drag Race did their own version of Madonna's Rock the Vote video to remind people to get out there and vote for November in America for the election. And everyone looked great. I'm sorry that Rock'em Sakura wore her entrance look for it, but it's clearly obviously the only red and white look that she had. And speaking of wearing other looks again, I would just like to say the reason I'm wearing this fabulous outfit is because I've only worn it the once. I mean, I've worn this hat a couple times. I love this hat, but it says fashion. It's fashion. And I've only worn it the once, but the last time I wore it was for the Meet the Queen, so I thought it would be apropos if I wore it for the finale. So while I'm judging everyone else for repeating outfits, I want you to know I completely understand that I am doing the exact same thing right now. Of course, I drink. And then it was time for the second lip sync. This was my favorite lip sync because the queens got to produce the whole thing. They had post on this. They had editing. They had, in some cases, effects. It was just a more polished presentation of a lip sync. And I'm just going to say it. My favorite one was Crystal's. I didn't at first like it because it was just that. Now, I want to start off by saying she sang a Nelly Furtado song. But the best thing was her throwing up in her own mouth. The fact that she played these two birds, the blue bird, the mama bird, and and then you could just see the head, well, the egg, and then the head of the yellow bird. Like, she just had it below camera, so you could just see that it was there. And the way she was singing, I thought, if she throws up in that mouth, if she's like, and then she did. And it was so gross and funny all at the same time. I think if anyone else had done that, I would have thrown up too, like, but no, I was very impressed. The only thing, and this is where I'm going to critique Crystal on it, because it was a produced lip sync, was at the end when she was using the green screen and having both the bluebird and the baby yellow bird in the screen singing. They were both lip syncing the same lines, and at that point in the song there were 2 or 3 different vocal lines, and I would have really have loved to see Crystal do 2 different vocal lines to cover both of them. That's my only critique. Short of that, of everyone's video, I liked hers the most. It just totally caught me off guard. Here's the Crystal. Crazy. Gigi Good's video was perfect, but I expect nothing less of Gigi. She will make it perfect if it kills her and anyone else in the room. I was very impressed, though. This was a huge ask because she did the aha video, which the original video was illustrated, and then it had live action and it melded. It was very innovative at its time, won lots of awards. But when Gigi said off the top of the show that she was going to wow us, I was expecting more. I'm just going to say, because it's Gigi and she's going to wow us, I expect Gigi to wow us. Just because she's that intense. Short of the background with the hand-drawn, cartoon-like element to it, and her costume changing from a white and black to a black and white, it was fairly, I don't know, pedestrian. I'm not saying she didn't do a good job. I don't want anyone to think that I didn't like it, but she oversold it off the top. I was really expecting more somehow, and I don't know why, but when it was all finally said and done, when she stood up in front of that cell, like an illustrated layer cell of herself from the back, and she touched hands, like, that was lovely, and it was good, but I would have loved to have seen more post-drawing around her, maybe, or something. None of what I thought held the video back affected her lip-syncing, though. Which then brings us to Jada Essence Hall. Now, Jada Essence Hall's video was so different from the other two because she did nothing to change her environment. She was just in her living room. And she was asleep on the couch, then got up and danced the poop out of that space. She really performed like nobody else. Like, I couldn't get over how much dancing and big dancing she was doing in such a small space. Like, she really didn't move around a lot, but she did not stop moving. It was excellent. I was very impressed. But I hated the living room around her. It kept distracting me. Like, I felt like I was watching somebody in their basement, which more or less could be what was going on, but you want that. I think that because Crystal and Gigi had really made an effort to take us out of their homes, it was underwhelming that Jada didn't. So for me, I think Jada did a better performance in her video than the look of it, and that outshone Gigi. But Gigi's video had more polish to it, even though it didn't really have as much content as Jada did. So I don't know, they're a tie for second for me, I'm just going to say. And what did Ru think? Well, she promised us somebody was going home, and she lied. She lied, nobody went home, all three of them were going into the final lip sync, which I have to say, well, isn't that nice for everyone? Isn't that nice for everyone? I mean, I feel like it's Ru being afraid of pissing off fans. So, to keep everyone happy, everyone gets to lip sync to the end. But I prefer, personally, and as hard as it is, I prefer to have these cuts happen. Get one out, cut, onto the next, let's go. So I was just a little disappointed that all three of them went to the lip sync. But I'll tell you, this might be the reason why all three of them went to the lip sync. In that lip sync, that second one, that produced lip sync, I don't know if Jada did enough. If it was down to just that second lip sync, because the first one was almost a non-issue. I mean, they all did more or less the same. But for that second lip sync, I don't know if Jada would have gone through. I mean, she very talented and entertaining performer, but you still need some atmos. Do you know what I'm saying? Seriously. But before we could go on to the third lip sync, we have to address the elephant in the room. Miss Congeniality, aka Nina West. It's not funny because she's a petite flower next to me. I'm so serious. But seriously, Nina was there having a good old chinwag with her old pal Dolly Parton, shooting the breeze and I don't know, sharing beauty secrets with each other. And you know, I just have to say, I'm so glad that Dolly did that. I love Dolly Parton. Her and Whoopi Goldberg. If they were the only two guests ever on RuPaul's Drag Race, I'd be okay with that. But Nina was there to crown Miss Congeniality. And who was that? Well, first of all, I have to say, I love that the cast votes for this, as they should. Nobody knows more who's congenial than the people there while the cameras are and aren't rolling. And so I'm always much more happy to see who's Miss Congeniality now. And this year's winner, I think, would have won whether it was up to the public or up to the cast. It was Heidi in Closet. Here's to Heidi. Good for her. But that wasn't the only news Miss Nina had. No, no, no. Pantene, who sponsored the Miss Congeniality Prize, awarded all the queens a $2,000 tip for all the work they did this season. They did an excellent job. I think season 12 will go down in history, regardless of all the hurdles that it had, as one of the best seasons on RuPaul's Drag Race. Seriously. And then it was time for the final lip sync. Thank the baby Jesus, I am so serious. And what was interesting was the queens had been sent all the same thing. They had the same set, so they had all that tinsel curtains all up, and they had balloons and the lights on the floor. I was actually very impressed. There was just so many components here. And the one thing that I was interested to hear was that they had shipped all the girls cameras and all the equipment that they needed. And Rue even made a joke that she had trouble putting up her own green screen, which, you know, she didn't. I'm just saying. But seriously, I like that they were all in the same environment because, as I said in the second round of the lip sync, Jada Essence Hall's living room distracted me. Now, I'll go through them one at a time. I loved Crystal's outfit. I thought that this was a very elegant, elevated look for her. I loved it right down to her lime green shoes. I thought she looked wonderful, but her lip sync was boring. It was all right. It was good, but I don't know if she didn't try as hard, because she seemed to do more with her lip sync on the last episode, on episode 12, when they were all lip syncing. When she was lip syncing against Jackie Cox in that purple asymmetrical thing. She brought up a lot of those old dance moves from her One Woman Show challenge, which people liked, but I feel like maybe she didn't do that because she'd already done it, or maybe she forgot to do it, or she did it and it didn't look the same. But either way, there was something lacking in Crystal's performance that the other two had. Now, that said, Gigi's performance was lovely as well. Her big thing that set her apart, definitely from Crystal, was that she had not just a costume change, but it was a quick reveal, and it was almost the exact same outfit, which I thought was funny, because she had the one thing, she whipped off the shoulder covers, which showed just the puffy sleeves, and then pulled her dress down and revealed that under, literally the dress fell over like a page on a book, and the new dress was just there, and it was blue. It was more or less the same exact dress, except with a blue color as opposed to what it was in the front. And then she had these long black patent leather boots on, which I didn't understand them with the outfit, but then I realized the reason was because when she pulled them off, she had on little socks, bobby socks, and shoes like Dorothy. And I'm wondering if that's maybe the look she was going for, like a Dorothy Wizard of Oz look. But it was lovely. The transition was slick. I'm always impressed with that kind of transition, because I've tried to do it a couple of times for drag queens, and it's never easy. So here's to Gigi. Well done, I'm just saying. And then there was Jada Essence Hall. First of all, anybody who starts performing in a big old cape, you know something's going on underneath it. When Brooklyn Heights did it in her lip sync against Evie, she had that black thing on. You know it's coming off and something's underneath it. And what I have to say about Jada Essence Hall's reveal is I wasn't surprised there was a reveal. What I was surprised with how smooth the transition was. She seemed to turn, and as she turned, the thing on just fell off of her. And boom, she was in this orange, same color as the cape, orange bondagey thing with a like a half skirt on the back, and then she danced her butt off, and it was impressive. It was impressive. And I have to say that I thought that was the only reveal or only quick change thing that she was going to do. But then at the very end of the lip sync, she pulled on these straps, and there were a lot of straps. So none of the things that were on her dress made me think, oh, this is going to happen. Oh, that's going to do that. I just was like, oh, that's a lovely. And then she pulled these two straps, and the whole skirt that had been flapping around her went up like one of those dinosaurs in Jurassic Park. And it had a pattern in it that was cut out. It was all on a plastic, like I guess a plastic tablecloth or something. And it had this beautiful pattern all around it. And then right above her head, a crown, an orange crown. And it was just the perfect way to end that lip sync. So I have to say that right out of the gate, once they were all done, I knew that Crystal was out of the contending. I knew she was. And it was down to Jada and Gigi for me. And the thing that because Gigi could have won. There's no reason she couldn't have. There were lots. She had 4 wins for the season, so she was ahead. But then she had those 2 weeks where she was down. Now, Jada Essence Hall wasn't down until she was in the bottom 2 and had to lip sync. She was only down in the bottom 1 week. But she only won 3 challenges. But that said, I was really impressed with her performance. So in my heart of hearts, as I said last week, I really wanted Jada Essence Hall to win, but at that moment, I couldn't have told you who had won it. There was nothing about either of those 2 performances that said one was better than the other. I feel that they were both equal in effort. It was great to see Evie Oddly there to help with the crowning, even though she apparently forgot that it was then. But I also liked that she put on her good track pants. and by putting them on, she gave them a little zhuzhing. But she looked great. She was lovely. And then it was time for RuPaul to crown this year's winner. And I have to say, I was absolutely thrilled that it was Jada Essence Hall. She and Gigi, none of them would have not deserved it. Everybody did such a great job this season, but I'm so pleased that Jada won. There was just something gracious about her the whole season. She never stirred the pot, but she never backed down from anything that was put on her doorstep. She super funny, even when she thought she wasn't. And just in general, she was one of the queens I was so looking forward to seeing more from, and she didn't disappoint me. So I am super, super happy for Jada Essence Hall. Here's to you. Seriously, well done. As for Gigi and Crystal, well, they're set for life. They'll be fine. I'm sure Crystal and Gigi will both be all-star material sooner than later. And as for the rest of the cast, well, geez, they could do an all-stars episode just with this cast. They could bring all of 12 back just for all-stars. Well, except for Britta. But the point is, it was an excellent season. How about you? Were you happy that Jada Essence Hall won? Most of the people that I talked to had a favorite, but said they wouldn't be upset with whoever won. So hopefully that's you too. And that's the end of season 12. Here's to us. That was a hell of a ride. I'm just saying, I didn't think I was going to make it. Seriously. Well, now we have a week off to relax, go on vacation, look at the sun, watch children in nature, whatever you do, whatever you need to do. We have a week off, and then it's All-Stars 5. Oh, and then, almost a month after that, Drag Race Canada. Oh, Canada's Drag Race. I can't wait. So, we've got lots to do until then. So, in the meantime, don't forget to like this video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Please subscribe to my channel, because we are almost halfway to 5,000. I said I would like to get to 5,000 by the end of the month. Well, it's the end of the month now. But I'm not disappointed. The numbers have been great. If you enjoy my video, please tell others. I'm serious. Let other people know. Get them to watch it. Let them know what you like about the Fingerdoo review, and share it, because, well, sharing is caring, I'm just saying. Also, next week, in lieu of a review, I will be, and this is not a lie, I will be launching my third tutorial in the That's So Wilma series. This one's on making a hat, so get your sewing machines ready. If you need to get them cleaned or anything, now's the time, because next week it'll be all about a hat, a little chapeau from me to you. So, until then, miss me. Mwah. Seriously, Jorge. I don't know why you keep buying this gin if it doesn't turn color.